Good morning, everybody out there. This is Mark Dorsett. I am the student pastor at the Christabelle Spiritualist Church here in Cherry Valley. I do apologize for your camera angle, kind of looking like the original Batman TV show right now. You know, just wait for the bam, pow to show up on the screen. No, I'm just kidding. This is intended to be a little more of a serious sermon, or at least it's supposed to be. However, Spirit has a sense of humor, as I'm sure a few of you are aware. And I literally just had something happen to help me, to remind me, I should say, that that's not who I am. It's not somebody who's very serious and who is very stoic, so to speak. I like to think of myself as a joyful person, someone who likes to have fun, and apparently I forgot that. So, thank you, Spirit. This was actually a perfect example of my sermon today. My sermon is titled, Be Water. How often have we let things shake us up? Now, I've seen a lot of people lately who have been letting life and other people kind of shake them up a little bit. It's really interesting to see how many people out there are acting much more like a bottle of soda as opposed to a bottle of water. In that, when you shake up a bottle of water, what happens? You open the cap and voila, it's the same calm water that it was. When you open up a bottle of soda and shake it, what happens? It explodes everywhere. And, I'm going to use the phrase soda as opposed to pop, even though I'm from the Midwest. I'm actually going to call it soda in deference to my amazing wife, Deb, her West Virginia heritage. So from here on out, I will be referring to it not as pop, but as soda in this sermon, just so you know. Oh, Spirit. Be a bottle of water and not a bottle of soda. The bottle is you. What is inside is your emotions and your reactions. The outside world and people are going to shake you up. If you shake a bottle of soda, when you finally open up, you're going to explode. But if you shake a bottle of water, it remains the same calm water that it was before it got all shook up. Let me rephrase that, do not let other people and this world disrupt your inner peace. I know that may sound pretty self-explanatory, but I feel the need to break this down just a little bit because so often when we are in the moment, we forget and let life and people shake us up. I mean, really, think about it. How many of you have had situations in your lives, even recently, where you could feel yourself getting upset about something and getting frustrated and essentially allowing yourself to be soda and not water? You suddenly reach that point where you just explode. Happens to, and honestly, it happens to all of us. And it's part of being human. But in a few minutes, I'm going to help you understand how to mitigate the issue when it does happen. And but first let's talk about how to remain that calm bottle of water first. Now the key lies in this word, detachment. I'm not referring to checking out emotionally from a situation. That's different. That's, on the surface it may sound similar to detaching from a situation. However, when a person checks out emotionally from a situation, I see it more as them being unable to process what's happening, basically, unable to process their emotions. And so they kind of, in a manner of speaking, stop caring, but even that's not really 100% accurate. It's more that they're not able to cope, they can't handle their emotions, so they put on emotional blinders, so they don't have to deal with what's happening, or more appropriately, with their feelings about what's happening. Now, what I'm referring to here is the ability to stay relaxed, to stay detached and objective. You step back, if you need it, step back physically if you have to. Other times, just emotionally or spiritually step back in your mind from that emotion so that you can objectively view what is happening and how you're reacting. I understand that this may be challenging at times. Believe me, I'm a parent. So I understand how challenging it can be at times to detach and just allow that little person in front of you to not get to you. You may be able to kind of look at what's happening. Well, let me rephrase that. You need to be able to look at what is happening from outside of your perspective. Take a moment. Even if you're in the middle of a situation and you're trying to breathe, just trying to stay calm, breathe a little deeper while you're in that situation. Even if you're in the middle of an emergency situation, taking just a second while you're doing something to take a few deep breaths. Not only does it help physically relax you a little bit more, it oxygenates your brain. There's actually a physical response that happens that as your brain is getting more oxygen, it will help you to slightly relax and will help you to be able to think more clearly. Honestly, the more physically relaxed people are, the quicker they're able to think more clearly most of the time. So if you can physically relax a little bit in that situation, it will help you to detach much more easily. Now, when I suggest looking at things from outside your perspective, what I'm talking about is that detachment, or another word for it would be objectivity. Basically you're interviewing yourself. You're switching to reporter mode and say, self, what's happening here? Why is this happening to me? What part of this situation or what part of talking to this person have I caused an escalation to it? In what part of this is my fault, essentially? Now, that last bit of phrasing, what have I done to make it my fault? Or if you want to think of it as, what have I done to be a bottle of soda and not a bottle of water? That's a little more optional, but you get the idea of what it is that I'm asking you to do. That way you kind of have a better understanding of what's going on. Now, it may not be easy to do this, but the next part is of the utmost importance. Being objective, stepping back, realizing that if you really are the reason that you're being shaken like a bottle of pop, you have to accept that. You have to accept your part in that situation. Now, there's going to be times, honestly, there's going to be times when you kind of interview yourself and say, yeah, that was me. That was all me. And then there's going to be other times where you're going to look back and be, wait a minute. That really isn't anything that I feel like I did in that situation to escalate it. And by understanding your role in it and accepting your role in a situation, it will help you to gain a little more insight into it and help you to understand a little better what it is that you need to do. And that's where switching into reporter mode can help you out more than I can possibly express. I really do interview myself first and say, self, was that me? No, not really. No, okay. But you have to be objective and you have to accept if you feel like you really are at fault. And I hesitate to say it that way, but if you feel like you are the reason that you're getting all shaken up and all stressed, and you're the one causing it for yourself, then you have to say, okay, wait a minute, I got all worked up over nothing. I have to, kind of relax and not allow that to happen again. If you kind of step back and you say, was I doing everything I could to stay calm in that situation and my emotions got away from me? Yeah, they kind of still did. Okay, but at least I know that I was doing my best. It really will help you to understand what's happening so that you can kind of focus on how to change it. Now, speaking of being a spiritualist, I know I wasn't at all, but we are in a spiritualist church after all. So we have the wise words of Mr. Andrew Jackson Davis's guide, Galen. Now, Galen, in his last incarnation, he was a Greek physician, and he really helped out Andrew Jackson Davis a lot. But for those of you who aren't really familiar with who Andrew Jackson Davis is, not only was he one of the forerunners of modern spiritualism, he was one of the people that really kind of helped set a lot of spiritualists on this path. He was a phenomenal medium and healer, and he was incredibly gifted. And he devoted his life to spiritualism, and he devoted his life to trying to help and heal others and learning what Summerland was like. In other words, what heaven, if you want to look at it that way, was like. And I mean, he's such a big part of spiritualism that Andrew Jackson Davis actually has his own holiday in the Spiritualist Church. It's called Founders Day. And so I'll go a lot more into his life on Founders Day, but I'll keep it interesting, I promise, because the guy's fascinating. But anyway, he's a cool guy. So Davis was walking along in the country one day, and he becomes introduced to his guide, Galen. And as I said, Galen was a physician in Greece, and Galen illustrates for Davis in a vision what his entire medical system was. Now, bear in mind, Davis was also a doctor, so to him, this was amazing. This was fascinating. And as he's wrapping up this vision with Galen, and Galen is giving this, Galen gives Davis a gift. He gives him a silver cane. And as Galen is giving him to this, then Davis is walking away and trying to leave the area. He gets kind of caught up in some brush and gets kind of frustrated, gets kind of angry as he's getting caught in this brush while he's trying to climb a fence. And as he can't get over it, he's getting angry, and he asks Galen to hold his cane for him. So when he gets over the fence, gets himself calmed down and extricates himself from the situation, he asks Galen to have his cane back, and Galen tells him that he's not going to be allowed to get it back until he first learns how not to be too depressed nor elated, and that in due time, he would return the staff to him. He would return his cane. Now, fast forward a few weeks. Davis had a vision of the exact cane that Galen had given him, and then it was followed by a flash of white. And on the background of that white appeared the following words. And I'm going to read them verbatim here so that I don't do this in error. Behold, here is thy magic staff. Under all circumstances, keep an even mind. Take it, try it, walk with it, talk with it, lean on it, believe on it forever. That's a lot, isn't it? So, okay, I know you're thinking that Galen is telling him, okay, you have to be an automaton, or you have to to put it into a more modern reference, he's asking him to be a Vulcan, not feel, just pure logic. And that's not how I take this advice at all. I really feel that Galen was trying to teach Davis, and it does appear that Davis actually learned this lesson quite well, the very thing we were talking about in an earlier part of this sermon. Under all circumstances, keep an even mind. Now that phrase, at least to me, can be summed up in that one word, which was detachment. Learning to step back and objectively assess what is happening. Now, I'm hoping that you're reminded of what I mentioned at the very beginning of this sermon with regards to being water as opposed to being soda. But let me refresh your memory really quickly. Be a bottle of water and not a bottle of soda. The bottle is you. What is inside is your emotions and reactions. The outside world and people are going to shake you up a lot from time to time. If you shake a bottle of soda, when you finally open up, you're going to explode. But if you shake a water bottle, once you open it up, it is the same calm water that it was before it got shook up. Don't let other people in this world disrupt your inner peace. Now, again, I know this is something that is much, much easier said than done at times. However, with a bit of consistent focus, we can achieve this. Not only will you find that you're actually much more content in life, but honestly, you're happier, just your overall level of happiness. And I know that Galen suggested to Davis that he not be too elated nor be too depressed. But really, honestly, I think what he's referring to really is just that general sense of well-being that everybody deserves, don't we? But really, honestly, if you can step back, detach, and allow yourself to be a calm bottle of water more than a bottle of soda, you'll be amazed at how much easier life gets. And how when you learn not to take everything personally, it does make a huge difference in your life. And I know I've talked about that in a different sermon. But remember also that much like Davis, we all have spirit guides at our disposal. We all have higher guidance that is ready, willing, able, and wants to help us. And I mean more than just willing, they actively love to help us out. So feel free to ask for help when you feel like you're having a little more trouble trying to detach or trying to relax and be that bottle of water. ask for help. Ask your guides. Now, even, honestly, even if you're not consciously familiar with your guides, like Davis is, or I happen to be, but it's one of my main life purposes is to be that cell phone that people in spirit dial into. So I kind of have to have a very strong working relationship with my own higher guidance. So for most of you, even if you're not consciously aware of your guides, they're still working with you. Just ask them for help. And it's been my experience that they're more than willing to help us especially to improve ourselves. Not just to help make our lives go more smoothly, but also to help us be better, stronger, happier people, to help us to be the best version of ourselves. That's what our guides love, and pardon the expression, but that's what our guides live for. They want to help us. So they can also help us to understand other people as well, and to help us to detach, to help us to go forth, be calm, composed, and collected, and to share that calmness with others. I ask you, please, go forth from here and be a bottle of water, not a bottle of soda, and to do so for the rest of your days, and to try and help other people to become that bottle of water, that calm, peaceful, happy bottle of water. So on behalf of the Christabelle Spiritualist Church here in beautiful Cherry Valley, Illinois, thank you and bless you.